Hi everyone and welcome. My name's Sarah, I'm from the Green Register, and just want to say thank you for joining us all tonight for our monthly Twilight talk. So this month it's using 3D digital methods in circular design. In a moment I'll be handing over to Sagal, but before I do that I just want to outline a few housekeeping items. So microphones, can you just make sure that you keep your microphones muted throughout the presentation, just so that we don't pick up any background noise from anything going on and it doesn't distract from our speaker. Videos, it's fine to leave your video on or off, it's completely up to you, but sometimes it's nice for the speaker to see who they're talking to, so that it's completely personal choice. Questions and answers, if you've got questions throughout the presentation, drop it in the chat box, and what will happen is at the end we'll be going through them and I'll read them out to be answered, so feel free to just pop them in there as we're going through. If you have any technical issues tonight, feel free to send me a quick message and I'll do what I can to help. Sometimes if it's a connection issue, having your video off can just help, but if it's anything more, then as I say, send me a message through the chat and I'll do what I can to help. After today's session, you will get an email with asking for feedback. Please do fill it out. I know everybody asks for feedback these days, but it is really helpful for us to know what you enjoyed about today's sessions, what you'd like to see more of. So please do fill that out for us. We'll also be sending out a speaker presentation, a recording of tonight's session, and the chat transcript as well. So yeah, and other than that, enjoy the session and take it away.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I'm going to just share my screen. Okay, so my name is Sagal. I am a digital strategy coordinator at Chetwoods. Today we'll be talking about, using 3D digital methods of circular design. So I'll be going through some of the technological methods that we've been using to take on the approach to circular design. I'll be sharing some examples with you as well. So like I said, I work at Chetwoods as a digital strategy coordinator, and as part of our approach, we look at ways how the three brands can come together. So as part of the Chetwoods brand, we've got Studio, who look at the design and concept and early stages of design when it comes to projects. So they're sort of the gurus when it comes to the design and element side of things. Then you've got Thrive. Thrive look at the sustainability element of it, so net zero carbon, sustainable materials, material audits. So they heavily look at projects from that perspective. And then you've got Works. So I'm part of the Works team. So the Works basically looks at the technological side of things, so how we can use technology and processes to basically enhance the delivery of the project. So with those three elements, we come together and we provide solutions to projects depending on what the outcome is and what the client requires. So today I'll be talking about the approach and our methodology that we've created as part of our process when it comes to looking at projects at those earlier design stages. When it comes to historical buildings, we always try and exhaust all the options available when it comes to existing projects. We don't want to just demolish what's on site. We want to be able to see how we could keep what's on site and come up with something really cool and quirky through the use of technology. So I'll be going through the steps for that. So we've got this ethos in place. So when it comes to existing projects, so the first thing is that we think about the project. So, okay, this project here is existing. Can we keep it? What can we do to, making sure that the client is educated on the process we can take. And then we look at ways to reduce waste. And then we go through the different motions. We're retaining elements and then reusing and repair and recycle. So recycle is always the last option, but we want to make sure that we go through the different elements of this hierarchy to keep what's existing. When it comes to our standards. So there are many ways we provide solutions, and these always align with the REBA stages. Everyone's aware of the REBA stages. So we always look at how our process as Chetwoods, and especially within the works team, how the technology out there can align with the REBA stages, because not all technologies would align or make sense depending on the stage that we're coming in at. So we have things like digital capture. Digital capture is very important at those early design stages and existing projects. So if there aren't any sort of drawings or information available, we would use things like digital surveying tools or photogrammetry to be able to capture what's existing and be able to then build our own representation of what's existing. So once we've done that, we're able to then use that 3D model in many ways as you move forward through the different REBA stages. You can have things like virtual reality and augmented reality, and also using that 3D model through applying them into immersive space. As the project evolves during the REBA stages and you end up at that end in use project, we have things like digital twins. So digital twin, again, is one of those concepts where when you've got a 3D model as part of the project handover, and by having a sensor-based technology attached to it, which gives you a better understanding of how that building is performing once it's handed over. So by having this, you can have a building management system that connects the 3D model with the sensor-based technology. And this is really important to us because once a building is handed over, we want to understand how it's actually performing, and through sensor-based technology we're able to do that. So there are ways of we're using technology at different stages of construction, but for the purpose of this presentation, I'll be focusing a lot on the earlier design stages. So as you can see here, so when it comes to those early design concept ideas, we would go through a pre-deconstruction process. So if there's an existing building on site that we want to keep, we want to go through the different means and technology innovations to basically keep that building. So if there aren't any historical data available, we want to be able to go in and use a digital surveying tool like a laser scanner. A laser scanner is basically a piece of technology that captures a building in a point cloud format. And what this does is it creates a digital representation full of these little dots, and that gives you a representation of the physical asset. And then that is then used to create a 3D model. And this could be modeled in like things like Revit or ArchiCAD. Once you've captured the point cloud, we also look at things like Matterport. So Matterport is a virtual tool. So an example for that would be like a Google Street View of a building. So that's the sort of technology we were able to then apply on existing projects for. So for example, an example and a benefit of using a Matterport was if a site is unsafe and you want someone to capture it and use that walkthrough as part of a digital site visit, then you can use this, and it's safe because you're not having to get loads of people to go on site at one time if it's an unsafe site, and you just have this digital representation of that site, which then can be accessed at any time. And yeah, many more benefits of using a Matterport data sets. As part of that process, again, it's like scan to BIM. So using the point cloud data and creating a 3D model. As part of that process, again, it's using the point cloud to making sure that the 3D model is overlaid and to make sure that the model that's been drawn from the point cloud is accurate and it can be used for construction drawings. And then as part of this early process as well is the materials library, which helps us understand the materials that are on site, and we can make more informed decisions at those early stages. So what I've got here is an example of the different data sets that comes out from the digital surveying. So as you can see here on the left, you've got a point cloud. Point cloud is, again, what I said before, is that it's a digital representation of a physical asset, and it's highly accurate, and this can be used to create 3D models. This is a Matterport, so a digital walkthrough. So this is done using a 4K camera quality. And what you can do is you can access that site from the comfort of your own laptop, and you can actually do a walkthrough from your laptop and actually walk around and see what that site looks like without having to physically go there yourself. It's safe. It's a more safer option. And also, what I like about a virtual tour is that you can actually append as much information as possible to this. So if there are surveys and images and any additional information that are captured as part of that initial site visit, this can all be attached to this virtual tour, and it becomes like a digital repository full of information. And as you walk through, you get to see the images and the reports associated to this project. This is the scan to bin process. So scanning what's on site and then bringing it into a 3D model. As part of that process, we want to also make sure that we want to check whatever is modeled in 3D is as accurate as the point cloud. This is the materials library audit. So what I like about this platform is that you are able to explode all the materials that are present within that digital initial survey, and you're able to categorize it and you see what's actually available. So for the circular lifestyle or circular design of that building, you're able to capture what's actually in that building, and actually if the materials on site are good enough to be reused for the next phase of that project, then we are able to identify those in the virtual space. This is more when it comes to when you take the 3D model into actually drawing and creating working drawings and actually designing. So you are able to use that 3D model as part of your working drawings package, and you can use a visualization tool. So having a 3D model is quite well, because it can be used by many parties of that project. Coordination. So that 3D model can then also be used as part of the coordination clash detection of that project. So making sure that the mechanical, electrical, structural, architectural are all working from the same location, and all the design elements are coordinated in a 3D environment, and making sure that we're not wasting time, and also making sure that all the clashes are looked at early on in the virtual tour, in the virtual space, before you get to construction. As part of our process, our design process, there are things like immersive technology. So having the technology like this, which is here, is an immersive space where you're able to upload your information. This could be a 3D model, this could be a CGI video of your future project in this space, where people can go in and actually experience design in a virtual environment. And it's a multi-user experience. So it makes that process of design enjoyable, and you get to see it from a different lens. Again, this is making sure that the 3D model is overlaid the point cloud, and making sure that it's all aligned and it's all within tolerance. One of the benefits, again, of having a 3D model as part of the design process is that you get to not only create a 3D model, but if that client wants the 3D model to be used for maintenance and managing the building, you're able to add all the facilities management facilities information of those components as part of the 3D environment. So having a 3D model has loads of benefits, and that can not only be used during the design process, but also as part of the handover and the maintenance of that building. And then the post-occupancy is having that 3D model and making sure that if the client does decide to use that 3D model as part of the maintenance of that building, then adding the sensor-based technologies as part of that. So wanting to understand how that building's performing, how we can save and be a sustainable building, because the sensors will give us a good indication of how that building is performing and where the savings can happen. And, if certain elements within that building isn't occupied or being used, and how can we switch those bits off so the building can save energy and not just consume. So when it comes to taking an existing building, for example, this is at those early stages. So like I said, if a building hasn't got the drawings and information and any historical data of that building, we have to use the technology to be able to capture it. So this is a point cloud representation of this house that we had to do, and then we were able to capture it and then also create a 3D model from it. We were able to also compare the survey against the drawings that were done what before the construction of this building. So we were able to overlay the two and see if everything was within tolerance, or if any changes were done as part after the building was constructed, and if that was not captured in the drawings. So this was basically would give you the most accurate representation of the physical asset. And this is just a video to showcase what happens. So that camera that you see on the tripod, we basically went around this whole building, and we were able to capture the of this asset. And the cool thing about the point cloud is that it shoots these laser points in a 360 format, so it will pick up anything that it could see within its vicinity. And once all that information and all the capturing is done, it's all put together, and you get a model full of points which can be used to model. This is just the digital walkthrough of that same asset. So it's just another data set that can be used to capture existing projects. So creating a walkthrough, using it as a digital repository of a physical asset, attaching any information if required. And again, it's just another way of using technology to capture that. Once you're able to capture what's on site, being able to model it in a 3D modeling software like Revit is key, because then you can get something that you can actually work with. So the point cloud would get you to, once it's modeled, to a physical or 3D representation of the physical asset in a geometric form. So we're able to then use this as part of that process, and it's actually tangible. It can be used to create drawings, it can be used to model, create visualizations from it, etc. As part of the process is to make sure you also what's being modeled is in line with the point cloud. So making sure everything's within tolerance. If something's out of place, we need to make sure that's been remodeled. So just to make sure that the 3D model as created is we are able to basically work from. As part of the circular approach to this project is making sure that we understand the materials and the geometry. The materials are on site basically, and by having a 3D model, we're able to upload it on a platform like this, where we can split all the building elements and to understand what's actually on site and how much of it. And if we had to go through that original diagram that I showed, the 6 R's, we're able to then see how that can be reused either in the future building, or if that can be recycled, or that element can be sent over to anyone else who was looking to design and want to reuse materials. So through this, we were able to create our own methodology. I just wanted to say that these technologies are obviously all readily available. It's the approach, it's the idea that having them all together, we are able to use that technology in a collaborated way to create a circular approach to 3D modeling. You people within the surveying industry do use laser scan technology to capture what's existing, to get levels, to get to understand what building topologies are out there. However, by making sure that by adding all these different technologies together, we're able to create a methodology that can be implemented at those early design stages if an existing building is there. So yeah, I hope you found that presentation really useful on our approach to 3D modeling in a circular way. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Excellent. Thank you. So there are a couple of questions that have come into the chat. If anyone else wants to ask anything, please do drop it in, or potentially we've gone through the ones that are there already. We can always do put your hands up if there's anything that you want to ask, and we can sort of do it like that. So there's one question here is, have you been involved in infrastructure surveying, and do you have any examples of investigating underground services or buried structures?
No, because we are purely architectural based, we don't get involved with that. So when it comes to underground surveying, we would subcontract that out to people who are sort of experienced in that sector. But for us, it's more about the ground up, if that is required for the project.
Excellent. And building owners and managers often ask, what is the benefit of modelling existing building where elements are going to be demolished as initial costs are high? I've only known of one example where such research has led to change of demolition. Instead of demolition of listed building with preserving the card, the investigation work led to change strategy to retain structure and redesign. Do you have any other examples?
So as part of Chetwoods, we have the Thrive part of our brand, and they look at existing projects and they run calculations. So by running these certain calculation on the materials and what's existing, it gives the client a better understanding of what's existing and how, if you were to demolish this building, for example, it would result, is it kind of equivalent to, demolishing like 10 houses, for example. So it's that kind of approach that we take, is that we kind of do the analysis of the existing building, and and also what if you were to demolish it, what would happen, and what that would look like. So we give clients that opportunity to understand the repercussions of actually demolishing building. But then if you were to keep it and to retrofit it and upgrade that building by using the existing technologies and processes in place, then you are that's the best way forward, or that's the best option forward. So the Thrive team is definitely a team that within Chetwoods who are always doing things like that at those early design stages.
Excellent. And so we've got one here that says, when creating the materials passport from the scan and 3D models, are you making assumptions about the M&E or structure that is hidden from view, i.e. stud spacing, pipe runs?
So what we do is, so on the example that I showed you guys earlier, we were able to actually cut into the walls and to survey that as well. So we were able to see, we had existing drawings, but we weren't sure how accurate they were. So by asking the client if it was possible to cut into the walls and create these little segments to see what's behind, we were able to do that. So by doing that, we're able to capture what's behind and also make assumptions from sort of building experience, like, you know, look at the walls and the sort of the build up it would be. So there are a bit of assumptions plus being able to cut into the walls, because that building will be sort of repatched and worked on anyway. So yeah, there are ways of going about doing it, but having a client who's open to that, it is good, because then you're able to give them the most accurate representation of that asset by doing so.
Excellent. We've got another one that says, are you able to get a sense of embodied carbon at this stage?
Yes. So that's the sort of things that the Thrive team would do, the embedded carbon of that building. So they go for an extensive calculations of that of the process, but having the 3D model and survey data available, it just adds that level of accuracy to the calculations that they're doing. So it hand in hand, it's the perfect solution for those early stages.
Excellent. I think that's all the questions in the chat. Has anyone got anything they want to ask? Maybe unmute yourself and ask a question, or anyone indicating? No. Okay.
Yeah. If you've got further questions, I will share my email with you also. If there's any additional, you know, questions that you want to ask me that you haven't asked today, I'm happy to answer them through email, or even set up a call if you're interested.
Perfect. We'll make sure that your details get shared as well.
Amazing. Thank you.
I guess if there's nobody else. Oh, sorry, Tony. Yeah, I can see.
Yes, sorry, I just have a quick question. Okay, fees. I'm interested in how this relates. I mean, I suspect this probably does replace quite a lot of time from various survey work, but obviously you are using quite expensive equipment. So do you have a sort of sense of how that relates to traditional ways of surveying and accounting for existing buildings?
It all depends on, I guess, the scale of the project. So how much time it will take to survey a building of that, you know, or the site of that element, how long it will take, the prep work that you have to do beforehand. You know, if it may take a few days, and, you know, the surveyor is far from the location, that is also needs to be considered. So it does add up, but the result is you know, great, because you can keep reusing that data for future things. So it all depends, or it's quite relative to what the outcome is. But I'm happy to share any sort of times and assumptions with you if you're interested.
So essentially, really, it's downstream sort of savings in time.
Yeah,
is the key aspect to it. Yeah,
that's right. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
thanks.
No problem.
Excellent. Is anyone else got any final questions that they want to ask? No. Okay. Don't think so. I think everyone happy that they've got all the information.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, we've got through that quite quickly. So I guess everyone's got a bit more time back this afternoon to enjoy whatever you want. So I just want to say a huge thank you to Sigal for coming today and talking to us, and thank you everyone for joining us for today's Twilight talk. It's been really great to hear from you and to sort of see the questions coming in. As I said at the beginning, obviously there'll be email feedback going out, so please do send that back, and we'll send out a copy of this recording and the presentation and chat transcript and everything. We will have another Twilight talk, should be on, it's always the second Monday of the month, so look out for the next one. Yeah, keep an eye on greenregister.org.uk and our training and events for any future sessions coming up. But other than that, thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks, Sigal.
No problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.